Chapter 2: The Root Cause of Suffering. One who looks around him is intelligent. One who looks within him is wise. By Masona Deliwayu. We live in a world of thought, not reality. Philosopher Sydney Banks once said, "Thought is not reality, yet it is through thought that our realities are created." What he means by this is that each of us lives through our own perception of the world, which is vastly different from that of the person next to us. For example, you could be sitting in a coffee shop having an existential crisis, completely stressed out of your mind about how you have no idea what you are doing with your life, while at the same time, the person next to you is happily enjoying their freshly brewed drink and peacefully people watching. You are both in the same coffee shop, smelling the same aromas, surrounded by the same strangers, but how the world looks to each of you couldn't be more different. Many of us go through the same events in exactly the same locations at the same time. Yet we are having radically different experiences of the world. This is what I mean when I say that we live in a world of thought and not reality. Reality is what is happening right now. It is the objective circumstance that is occurring without any meaning or judgment attached to it. And so what we experience is not reality itself, but our perception of reality. Any meaning or thinking we give something is self-created in our choice. Here's another example. If you walk up to 100 different people and ask each of them what money means to them, how many different answers do you think you'll get? Money has a technical definition, but it means something different to each of us. Depending on who you are, money could mean time, freedom, opportunity, security, and peace of mind. Or it could mean evil, greed, and the basis for crimes. There are no right or wrong answer here, but the meaning we give something is the filter through which we see life. Just imagine how many answers you'll get if you ask 100 people their opinions on the current president. Even though it's the same person we are talking about, you will get quite a few different answers because we all have different beliefs we are projecting onto what we are observing. This is where we return to the idea of the two arrows, pain and suffering. It is not the events that happen in our lives but our interpretation of them that causes us to feel good or bad. This is how people in developing countries can be happier than people in developed countries, and how people in developed countries can be more miserable than people in developing countries. Our feelings come not from external events, but from our own thinking about the events. Let's hypothetically say that you really hate your job and that it causes you an enormous amount of stress. It pains you to even set foot in the building where you work, and just thinking about your job makes you anxious. Even when you are at home with your family, sitting on the sofa and watching a TV show together, you're completely occupied thinking about how miserable your job makes you. Everyone else on that sofa is having a good time except for you. At this moment, the rest of your family is having an experience of life that is different from yours, even though the same events, watching TV, is happening for all of you. Just thinking about work is creating a whole different perception of reality for you, even though you are not physically at work. If it were true that external events are solely responsible for internal feelings, then you would be a happy camper in your living room, enjoying the moment every time you watch a funny TV show with your loved ones. But that's not the case. Now, you may say that you are only feeling unhappy because a negative external circumstance, your job, is causing you stress. To that, I will ask, while a job may be demanding, does that mean it must lead to suffering? Or put another way, is it absolutely true that every person who has the same intense job feels the exact same way about that job? Take paramedic or firefighters for example. While their jobs can be very intense, not every person working those jobs has the same experience of it. Some may experience anxiety, dread, and distress, while others experience calm, fulfillment, and even excitement. Two people can be doing the same job but have very different experience of it. It can be the most amazing dream job for one person, but the other person's worst nightmare. The question is, what determines which experience someone will have? Let's do a quick thought experiment to see. Consider again the theoretical stressful job, the one that you hate. How would you feel if you didn't think that you hate your job? Take a few moments to see what comes up for you. If you don't overthink it and simply let the answer surface from within you, I imagine you will come to the conclusion that without that line of thinking, the ruminating, judging, and spiraling, you would most likely feel peaceful, free, and light, even if you didn't change anything about the job itself. Which means that without our usual thinking about a particular event, our experience of it completely alters. And with this understanding, we've arrived at the truth I discovered after all those years of searching. The root cause of our suffering is our own thinking. Before you light this book on fire and throw it across the room, please know I'm not saying that what we are experiencing isn't real. Our perception of reality is very real. We feel what we think and our emotions are real. That is undeniable. However, what I'm saying is that how we feel will look like an invisible, unchangeable reality until we recognize the role that our thinking plays in creating it. By changing our thinking, we can change our reality. And if that is true, then we are only ever one thought away from transforming our lives and letting go of our suffering. In short, the moment we stop thinking is when our happiness begins. The human experience equation. Our experience of reality is created from the combination of the events we encounter and what we think about them. To reiterate, our emotions come not from external events but from our thinking about them. Here is a more visual way to understand how our thinking can change our experience of an event through a simple equation. Events plus same thinking equal to same experience. Events plus new thinking equal to new experience. What this equation means is that when we go through an event and think about it the same way we always have, it will always produce the same experience and therefore the same emotion. But if we change our thinking about that same event, we can alter our experience of it and create a new emotional response. When you change your thinking, you change your experience of life without needing to change the event that happened. However, while we can change our thinking, the most ideal path to serenity is to let go of our thinking entirely. Without our own thinking about an event, we find peace because we are experiencing exactly what reality is without our own judgments, stories, or expectations of it. If we simplify the equation, we can see exactly this. Event plus thinking equal to perception of reality. Event without thinking equal to reality. Event without thinking equal to peace. A young monk and the empty boots, a Zen story about how our thinking is the cause of our suffering. A long time ago, a young Zen monk lived in a small monastery in a forest near a lake. A few senior monks occupied the monastery, while the rest were newcomers who still had much to learn. The monks had many duties. One of the most important parts of their daily routine was when they had to sit down, close their eyes, and meditate in silence for hours at a time. After each meditation, they had to report their progress to their mentor. One young monk had difficulty staying focused during his meditation practice for various reasons, which made him very angry. After the young monk reported his progress to his mentor, the elder asked a simple question with a hidden lesson. "Do you know what is really making you angry?" The young monk replied, "Well, as soon as I close my eyes and meditate, someone starts moving around and I can't focus. I get agitated that someone is disturbing me even though they know that I'm meditating. How can they not be more considerate? And then, when I close my eyes again and try to focus, a cat or small animal might brush past and disturb me again. By this point, even when the wind blows and the tree branches make a noise, I get angry. If that is not enough, the bird keep on climbing and I can't seem to find any peace in this place." The elder monk simply pointed out to his pupil, "I see that you become angrier with each interruption you encounter. This is exactly the opposite of the point of meditating. You should find a way not to get angry with people, animals, or anything around you that disturbs you during your task." After their consultation, the young monk left the monastery and looked around to find a place that would be quieter so that he could meditate peacefully. He found such a place at the shore of the lake nearby. He brought his mat, sat down, and started meditating. But soon a flock of birds splashed down in the lake. Hearing their noise, the monk opened his eyes in rage. Even though the bank of the lake was quieter than the monastery, things were still disturbing his peace, and he got angry again. But even though he didn't find the peace he was looking for, he kept returning to the lake. Then one day, the monk saw a boat tied to the end of a small pier. "Why don't I take the boat, row it down to the middle of the lake and meditate there?" he thought. "In the middle of the lake there will be nothing to disturb me." He rowed the boat to the middle of the lake and started meditating. As he had expected, there was nothing in the middle of the lake to disturb him, and he was able to meditate the whole day. At the end of the day, he returned to the monastery. This continued for a few days, and the monk was thrilled that he had finally found a place to meditate in peace. He didn't feel angry and could calmly continue the meditation practice. Then one day, when the monk was meditating in the middle of the lake, he heard water splashing and felt the boat rocking. He started getting upset that even in the middle of the lake someone was disturbing him. Opening his eyes, he saw a boat heading straight towards him. He shouted, "Steer your boat away, or you will hit my boat." But the other boat kept coming directly at him and was only a few feet away. He yelled again, but there was no response, and the incoming boat hit the monk's boat. Now he was furious. "Who are you, and why have you hit my boat in the middle of this vast lake?" he screamed. There was no answer. This made him even angrier. He stood up to see who was in the other boat, and to his surprise, he found no one in the boat. The boat had probably come untied and drifted along in the breeze until it had bumped into the monk's boat. It was just an empty boat. The monk found his anger dissipating, for there was no one to get angry at. At that moment, he remembered his mentor's questions. "Do you know what is really making you angry?" Now he knew he had his answer. It's not other people, situations, or circumstance. It's not the empty boat, but my reaction to it that causes my anger. All the people or situations that upset me are like the empty boat. Without my reactions, they don't have the power to make me angry. The monk then rowed the boat back to the shore. He returned to the monastery and started meditating along with the others. There were still noises and disturbances, but he treated them as empty boats and continued meditating peacefully. When the elder monk saw the difference, he said to the young monk, "I see that you have found what is really making you angry and you have overcome that."